Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and listening to us talk more about our fitness trackers and the variables and what kind of good information those variables can give us. In the first one, I talked a bit about an overview of all the variables that we can track: heart rate and all the different heart rate variables, heart rate variability, resting heart rate recovery. Talked about respiratory rate, so your lungs and breathing. And we talked a little bit about pulse oximetry too, which is the oxygen saturation in your blood. And so what we want to do now is go a little bit more in depth with all of these, a couple at a time. There was a brief overview. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about heart rate and respiratory rate before Ashley and Justin continue on in depth with a little bit more. And so the important thing to keep in mind is we're talking about what these variables mean, what they represent, what they can also tell us as far as your exercise and fitness and overall health, but also what they can tell us as far as predicting injury and predicting illness, and specifically with what's going on now, COVID-19. So how can these things predict coronavirus? You might think that that's a little bit far-fetched, but again, this isn't just James Bond futuristic movie stuff. This is real. There have been instances where these fitness trackers, this wearable technology, has predicted an outbreak of some sort of illness in an individual, and it has happened with coronavirus as well, specifically on the PGA Tour. So that's what sparked a lot of this insight sparked the interest for us to give you more insight into what these wearable trackers do, what this technology affords us. So, talking about heart rate and respiratory rate, basically the concept is your body needs oxygen. Your brain needs oxygen, your muscles need oxygen, your organs, everything that your body needs to function needs oxygen, right? And so we breathe oxygen in, and then your heart pumps blood to your lungs. The first place it goes after your heart is into your lungs to get filled up with the new oxygen that you breathe in to be pushed to the rest of the body. All right. So that's your delivery system right there. That's the supply chain, right? Oxygen is the goods, or oxygen molecules are the goods, and your heart rate and your blood vessels are the delivery system, the supply chain that gets the goods where it needs to go in your body. Okay. So that's the basic understanding of how your heart and lungs need to function. The why is because the more you do things, the more demand of oxygen there is for your body. Now, it's not just oxygen, okay? There's other nutrients and things like that in the blood plasma itself. But basically, your body demands oxygen at any given time. If that demand goes up, whether it's going for a workout, going for a run, exercising, walking up a flight of stairs, carrying furniture up if your friends are helping you move, or if you're helping your friends move, and hopefully there's pizza and beer at the top of the stairs for you, or when you're sick, right? So anything that goes up from your baseline is going to place more demand on your body. Therefore, your brain recognizes your body needs more oxygen. So therefore, your heart rate is going to increase and your lungs are going to take in more air. You're going to be breathing more per minute, okay? So that's why we look at heart rate and respiratory rate as a function of a response to exercise. You place more stress on your body uses up the oxygen more quickly, so it needs more to replenish it and keep working. That's why the rates go up. As soon as you stop exercising, your heart rate will come down because your brain recognizes, well, there's no more need for the excess, and we don't want to be wasteful, and so we're going to recover a little bit. And heart rate recovery is something Ashley is going to talk about more. But the important part to understand is that as your body gets stressed, as your system is stressed, demand goes up, so the work rate goes up. All right, and so we look at that as a measure of fitness. When you become more efficient, that demand is not going to be as great as the first time you did it. So for instance, if I go out and run a mile after not running for a year, it's going to be pretty laboring on me, pretty tasking. My demand is going to go through the roof. After a few months of running, that single mile, that same mile, is not nearly going to be as taskful on my body or tasking on my body. And so the demand isn't going to be as great. So I become more efficient. So my respiratory and heart rate response is not going to mimic what it did the first time I did that task, right? And the same is true for any new task. So that's a measure of fitness and how we can measure how much more efficient you become. Now, the important part, predicting disease. Let's just say your normal is here, right? Your baseline is here. And you're not doing anything more strenuous, but all of a sudden, your heart rate and respiratory rate are that much more higher than your baseline, right? For some reason, your baseline needs and demands are much higher than what they normally are. That's the first thing that kind of ticks off a red flag for us. We look and see, is this an isolated incident? Did you just not get enough sleep? Did you have a really hard week as far as fitness and exercise, or maybe even stress from work? So what is it that's causing your baseline demand to be higher than your normal baseline? Okay. And so that's a red flag for us. If all of a sudden you go to the gym and a regular workout that's super easy for you is really tough and you're breathing heavy and your heart rate is through the roof, well, these are things that we need to start tracking now, right? And over the course of a few days, we can measure what your sleep is doing, what your energy demands are. There's even something cool called the body battery on this, which puts everything into perspective, and it paints a picture for us and tells us how stressed are you, how at risk are you for coming down with an illness or coming down with an injury if you were to keep training. And so these are the variables. This is the benefit of wearing these wearable trackers, because it gives us a lens into your system. So we get a systemic overview of how your body is, and we can absolutely predict injury and predict illness. And so this is the really cool, data and research that's been coming out, and some programs are putting algorithms together to track all this data. And it's something that we've been getting into for the past couple of months, and we wanted to share this with you. So it's great to have these at your disposal if you do have them. It gives us a lot of information, a lot of beneficial information. And again, it's great for predicting injuries and illnesses. And in a time like this 2020 pandemic, we think that's pretty powerful stuff. So hope you guys understood a little bit more about it, and at least you get an idea of where we're coming from when we're looking at people that do have these and what kind of data we're collecting. But that's pretty much heart rate and respiratory rate for today. We'll get into them a little bit more. Like I said, Ashley, Tag, you're going to start talking about a few more things in the next week or so. Hope everybody's doing well. Again, if you have any questions, shoot them our way.